All right, so I left off. Actually, cut. I'm not going to include that. Okay, so we already talked about that, but once again, appeals of fascism. World War I veterans liked the militarism because it made them feel like they were being supported. And after World War I, when everybody felt that the Treaty of Versailles kind of messed them over, this is like true support for them, so they like it. Also, nationalists like reviving the olden days, like back in my day it was great, but in this time period they're saying back in the Roman days we controlled all of this around the Mediterranean. We can do it. We did it before. So let's get together and, take over some stuff. And then your middle class or your industrialists, they felt that a strong ruler was going to protect their businesses, protect their private ownership. So they're all supporting fascism, which means your fascist government has a strong a base. All right, so Mussolini in charge. Remember King Victor Emmanuel? He's the one who is going to be the king at the time, and he invites Mussolini to have a sip of tea or have a cup of tea. Not really, I'm just making that up. But he invites Mussolini to his palace in order to give him power, because the king realizes that with all of these fascists, namely Mussolini's black shirts, and all of his supporters, that if he doesn't do something about this soon, then they may rebel and kill the king. So he's like, hey Mussolini, how about you take some power in the government? Mussolini's like, sure, brah. And he ends up taking power. But once he gets power, his people have this huge display at Rome. They march on Rome, his black shirts, 30,000 of them, showing their power, also beating up socialists and communists in the moment. And of course, Mussolini got power from the king a little bit earlier, so he is named dictator for 1 year, but Mussolini's like, nah, bro, I'm gonna take this mess. And he becomes dictator for however long he wants to. And he calls himself Il Duce, which means the leader. So what does he do? He wants to be like the days of old. So he starts trying to expand the entire Italian empire. He's going to go for Ethiopia first, because remember, those are the ones who like defeated them during imperialism. All right, so the result of Mussolini's power, he's going to abolish democracy, outlawing all political parties, except for the fascists, of course, because he's a totalitarian dictator. Then he's going to impose censorship. No, if you write something about him, if you create a play about him, or if you say anything, that's not favorable towards him, then you get to go sleep with the fishes, meaning you may end up imprisoned or killed. And he has his secret police, his supporters, known as the black shirts, the military portion of his control. Then he's going to have opponents jailed, outlawing strikes, or outlawing people coming together in protests and things of that nature, allies with the business owners, so that way he has money funding. And then he orders the teachers to stress how awesome he is. He's like Aristotle or Michelangelo. He's like so awesome. He's like Napoleon, meaning they're indoctrinating the kids, basically telling all the wee little lads, the elementary schoolers on up, that Mussolini is the greatest thing since sliced bread. So that way, if your parents talk bad about him, you'd go to school and be like, oh my gosh, my mom said something bad about Mussolini. And then people would be like, what? And then maybe your mom goes missing, something like that, because it's a totalitarian dictatorship. All right, so once again, those are the characteristics of fascism: censorship, indoctrination, secret police. This is in Italy, Spain, and Germany. And heavy nationalism. And you're also going to see this with Nazism in Germany. Basically, if you're all about your people, ultra nationalists, you end up becoming racist, unfortunately. So yeah, one supreme leader, fascism, Mussolini.